t-shirt we might be able to make that possible.
This is great to go in our swag bag that someone's gonna we're gonna raffle. We're competing with 10 other institutions. And how sad would it be if Central Basket is sad? So I'm getting stuff from everywhere to
Well-
make us have a nice bag. But this is great. These are great things.
We can give you a couple of center, t-shirts, if it's like half a million.
Yeah. I only need one, because I got shirts from everywhere. I've been begging people
Yeah,
for
but
stuff.
we're special.
Okay, Mary Ann. Glasses, this is small, but I know this stuff by heart, so let me know when we're ready and then we'll kick it off.
Yeah, so I think JoJo is going to introduce you and then we can do your part.
Beautiful. And be ready to ask questions afterwards, because this is so important that I want to make sure you guys get the message behind the presentation.
Okay.
Awesome.
Excuse me. Hello, my name is JoJo. Today in the Latin American Caribbean Center, we have Gladys from the Financial Aid Office.
Financial literacy.
I was gonna, I was going to continue on with that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Gladys is the Financial Literacy Coordinator in the Enrollment Management Office and has worked at CCSU for over 20 years. She is skilled and knowledgeable and professional and provides students with assistance in completing the FAFSA, applying for scholarships and loans, completing the undocumented student aid application, and understanding the financial aid package. Gladys holds information sessions on campus to help educate the campus community and visits local high schools to provide information to potential applicants and guidance counselors, and is more than happy to sit with students and families to discuss their own personal situation in the privacy of her office. We welcome Gladys Cohen.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I'm a friend of the center. So I want to be able to make sure that I say that I'm such a friend of all the work you guys are doing. So I have an opportunity to share some really important information with you, allowing you guys to just have enough knowledge to make the best decisions for you while you're in school. Been here for a while under the auspices of the Financial Aid Office, but recently the last 3 years under financial literacy, which allows me to just have a bigger scope of the things that I can do specifically for students that just don't understand this process. But it's overwhelming to figure out how to pay the bill. So with that being said, let's start off. You gonna be my driver?
Yes.
Yeah. So you wanna, yeah. All right, so this is me, scholars. My name is Dr. Gladys Colon, the Financial Literacy Coordinator. This is my contact information if you need to schedule something to see me, if not now, in the future. I have a very much open door policy allowing our students to have access to the services and resources that I provide in my office. So my goal is to provide some support in your financial wellness. So you got to start making good decisions now in college. You can't say, well, I'll worry about that when I graduate. It doesn't work like that anymore. I could do that when I was an undergrad because we were in a different climate. Right now, what you guys decide to do is going to impact your financial wellness. And we got to make sure you understand what debt is, what credit scores are, how to improve those credit scores. So when you graduate, A, you're not graduating with a ridiculous amount of student loan debt. And B, that you graduate understanding what financial wellness means, credit card debt, credit score. So I want you to be aware that the decisions you make now are going to impact your post-graduation financial wellness. So let's take us through the journey of understanding what this means. So a lot of us take a lot of pride in our physical fitness, right? We want to look good, we want to feel good, we want to eat better, we want to exercise. That's just as important as our physical fitness, allowing ourselves to make better decisions about financially. What am I doing here? Do I really need to be here? Do I really need to live on campus if I'm 5 miles from the university? Because the impact for on campus is $10,000 to $12,000 more. The benefit at Central is that we're so centrally located Any 30-mile radius, students have the potential to commute. Because I've been here so long, I understand wanting the college experience, which means living on campus. But you have to ask yourself, is it worth the $10,000 to $12,000 that I'm paying for? Because it's essentially student loan debt. So understanding the importance of making financial decisions, just like you decide to go to the gym, exercise, go for a walk, eat better. This is pretty much the same concept. What am I doing to better my fiscal fitness? So this is an important slide for me because I think for many of us, and me included when I was an undergrad, didn't understand credit scores. Does anyone here understand what credit scores mean? And what's good, what's but not you, Marianne? What's a credit score?
A credit score is the score of, it's a score stating, basically how well you are with credit, like if you accumulate that, how quickly you pay it off.
Right.
Also, like, it also gets deducted if you, have too high of a debt, or if you don't pay your debt off for too long, or if you miss a deadline for paying your debt, your credit score will, be dropped.
Hindered. Very perfect. So this is where we want you to be. Everyone wants to be in the excellent, but that takes work. And it's ongoing because our credit scores fluctuate based on the decisions we make in our lives. Right?
And I still don't think I'm in. the
Listeners, I'm
excellent yet.
not in the excellent either. Real transparency because of the choices I've made. I
Right,
bought a
me
condo,
too.
I bought a brand new car. So that speaks on debt to income, which we can talk about. But this is typically where students are in the 600 mark. Because you're acting up, you're doing some things you're not supposed to be doing, or sadly, you don't have enough credit. You know, I have these conversations with our college students that say, no loans, I'm gonna work really hard, I'm gonna pay off my bill. I don't wanna leave owing anything. That's not necessarily the right thing to do either, because in the world, in our nation, we're driven by credit. So if you want to take out a car loan, when you show up with zero credit, you're not gonna be at the best score. So having a little bit of debt is not a bad thing. And I need to reiterate that having a little bit of debt is not a bad thing because that's when the credit bureaus take risks. If you show up with zero balance due on anything, you are a risk. The creditors are going to say, yeah, she doesn't borrow. We don't know her credit history. We don't know what she or he is capable of. They need to know and see a pattern of how you manage your debt. They need to see a pattern, right? To determine what credit score you jump into. So know that having zero debt is not necessarily the best thing. Ideally, if you go into 661 and 780, then your credit is good. We all want to be an excellent. So what are some factors that impact our credit scores going up or down? And they go up and down all the time. Sometimes I get very frustrated because I think I'm doing well and then I'll get an alert. Your credit score dropped 3 points. I'm like, what is going on? So this is important, right? We want to maintain a healthy credit score, but that takes work. And it's not a one-time deal, right? So with this, we have other challenges that impact our credit score. Do you guys know where you are in your credit score? Okay. Has it fluctuated for you? Right. So it real quickly, it pivots. So we need to understand what that means and where we are in our lives. For example, if you have an amazing credit score as a freshman, good for you. But the reality is that you'll be a student for the next 4 years. So having A+ credit, not necessarily the best thing, because you're not going to venture out and now try to get an apartment. You're not going to venture out and get yourself a reliable car because now you're a professional and you have a good job. So timing is everything. The goal is to graduate with a higher rate. And it's based on the decisions you make while in college. So let's go to the next slide that helps us get our credit scores up to par. So before I move on, understand that you all get one free credit report from the 3 national credit bureaus that you have access to. So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are the 3 major credit bureaus that run this country.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that will determine what type, and I'm gonna be very transparent. You wanna get a brand new car because you're feeling it, you're gonna get the brand new car. The problem you're gonna face is what interest rate will you be getting on that new car?
Now,
Huh?
right now.
Correct. But I don't want to say you're not gonna qualify for that apartment you want. You're not gonna qualify for that new car you want. But what I'm saying is, based on where you are in your trajectory, your interest rate is gonna be high.
Right, but the other thing is, interest rates are going up, but you want to be at the lowest possible interest rate, and if your credit score is not good, you're gonna get a higher interest rate than the minimum that they have to
Right.
offer you.
Right.
Right,
So an example of that is you got an amazing car for $12,000, so you're excited, you're happy. Your interest rate, because you're so excited about the car, doesn't matter to you because you're young, you've got a car. But that $12,000 car eventually is gonna cost you closer to 15 and 20,000 based on your interest rate.
so Gladys, do you, among other, I mean, we were talking at the beginning, you were suggesting paying a lot of attention to whether or not you want to live on campus or off, right? How do you figure out the relationship? Well, if I live on campus, I don't need a car, but if I live off campus or if I live at home, I do.
Right,
And that's $15,000, say, for the car,
right.
and it's $10,000 to
Right.
live on campus. Like, how do you
It's all,
balance
it's all
those?
personal. It's based on what the student is willing to do. In my career, I've met with students that do not care how much debt they have to go to, and the parent doesn't care either. So they're like, on campus 4 years, I'll borrow. The parent has to borrow. The student's not gonna have enough to borrow because of the way that federal government awards our students. But you have to ask yourself if you're willing to leave Central with a $60,000 debt for living on campus. Or do you make that decision to say, I'll do it 1 year so I can do the college experience that everybody wants, and then the last 3 years I'll commute. Living off campus is an option if you are around here, allowing you to save significantly room and board here, but then you have to pay rent. They'll run your credit to make sure you're credit worthy to get an off-campus apartment unless someone's gonna co-sign.
And then we wind up sometimes in housing insecurity and food insecurity.
Right.
Because sometimes the cheapest places off campus don't give you access to a kitchen. Right, and so,
So it's important that you guys take advantage of this opportunity. I have, for the obvious reasons. Once you get your credit, your free credit report, you'll see what's on the report. First of all, make sure it's you. Secondly, you want to check because we have an increase in identity theft. And what that means is, unbeknownst to you, someone's opened an account in your name. It could be a sibling, it could be a parent. We've heard it all. But the point is, you want to make sure that that's what is on your credit report belongs to you. Because the opportunity for you to appeal it is there. If it's not your debt, you can fight it, but you have to prove it. And the sad part about it is, for many of us, we'll have a sibling that put the cable under our name because they couldn't do it anymore. And unbeknownst to us, that account went delinquent, so now it's hurting my credit scores. So just get the credit bureau to provide your report just to make sure. And then what else do you want to do? You want to have something on the credit report, because why is it bad not to have any credit?
okay, maybe that can be a student assignment. It's to get, we don't have to see them, but like, everybody should get their own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure it's you, and if you get a report that's blank, what do you think I'm going to suggest you do?
My credit card or something.
Exactly. And your student loans are credit. It's debt, but it's a credit to you because it's associated with your social security number. All right, so let's make this a goal for your students. Hopefully they can all get,
Right, so get your credit report,
right,
check it, make sure it's you.
yes,
Do what, but don't show us and keep it private, okay?
mm-hmm,
Like, are you talking about like private loans or private loans?
both.
But then how do you get a credit score if you only take out the subsidized loan?
Okay, so we're all have a credit score. The goal is you want your credit to get out of fair, eventually to good, and eventually to excellent. So if you're just starting credit, you're still gonna be at the 600s. Your goal is to get out of that level. And the student loans help with that. The more you borrow, the better score you would be in. But what else is going on in your private life? So we gotta make sure that you understand, okay, it's not something you wanna just keep buying, purchasing, be a co-signer. I talk about all that in this presentation because students don't understand the hindrance of co-signing for some. All right, so we can move on. Yeah. All right, so these are some ways in which you can boost your good credit. So these are really realistic. The first one is become an authorized user on your parents' account. What do you guys think that means?
So you're part of your mom or whatever. So if she doesn't pay, you're still with that too.
Right? And if she pays,
You're good and you get those credits.
there you go. Perfect. So this is an opportunity for you to ask a parent, can you please be put on one of their credit cards?
Or if you go crazy spending money, your parent goes like,
Put it out.
cut it out, right?
Right.
Because your parent is responsible for paying the bill.
Right, so when you get authorized to be on a credit card with a parent, any purchases they make and pay on time helps your credit and vice versa. And then if you have a parent that's not really financially responsible, don't get on their credit card because then whatever they don't do hinders your credit too. Right? Did you have a question?
Yeah, does it depend on the bank, like any credit card bank has the, company?
No, just get on a credit card with parent, not a debit. That's very different. Debit does not help our credit scores because that's our own money. We're managing that money. We need to make sure you're associated with some type of credit card. And we have a great relationship with our credit union here. Achieve is really good to our students and they will start you very softly. We're not gonna approve a $10,000 credit card for you. We maybe approve a $500, but that's okay. Which brings me to my next bullet. Open up your
But-
own.
Dr. Colon, you had two
Oh, I'm
questions
sorry.
here.
Yes, sir.
Did
You
you
have
have a
a comment?
question?
No, I didn't have.
Oh, and this gentleman here
Yes,
has a
sir.
question.
Oh, I was gonna say, the way that I started out, my credit was like, I went to my bank and asked them, it was Bank of America, I asked them like, for a credit card, they said what they have is a program where you get a credit card, but you put like your initial amount of money you wanna start up
Oh,
with.
the secured.
Yeah, the secured one, so I did that one. I started off with $300 and through constantly, like, never missing a payment period, I was able to get it up to $3,000.
Yes. So
By,
that's growth.
yeah,
That's growth. So that's what I'm recommending in the second one, that you open up an account like he did. Could be Achieve, it could be your own bank
I started
institution.
off differently. I started off with the Discover student card. So
Mhm.
that started off like grand 2 or grand 4. And well, grand 6, but that's okay.
Right. So what happens here is you gotta make sure you get the right credit card for you. And when I say the right credit card, what am I referring to? A credit card that what? That's a plus, but a credit card, we want the APR. What's the APR?
Annual percentage rate.
Right. We want a nice annual percentage rate. And what would that be ideally?
Under 25%.
How about under 3? Right, 0 is even better. The 25%.
I've never actually seen one of those, but I heard.
I
it
have,
exists.
I have.
I haven't heard of those, but I'd love to have one.
Yeah, but if you're not getting them, that means your credit score is not on point, my friend.
Not yet.
Right,
Try
and
to
that's
bring it back.
okay, and I like that, not yet. We're gonna get there, right?
It's not always just the credit score. It's like some cards have like To make a minimum.
También, yeah, también, yeah. That's why you have to look for the car that works for you. Not
Yes,
every
yes.
car is gonna
So
work
you
for you.
always have the opportunity to pay everything off every month, but sometimes you can't, and then you have to make at least the minimum. But I like those cards now. I think it's the law, right? That when you decide not to pay everything off in a given month, yeah, they tell you if you pay this much, it will take you this long to pay this off.
Correct,
And if you pay that much, you will pay this off in.
right. And they have to provide those disclosures to you, so you make the best decisions. So what we want you to do with that credit card is make small purchases, occasional purchases. Why? Because we want to put that credit card in motion, right? We're avoiding big ticket items. Why is that? We're not buying the PlayStation, we're not buying the cell phones, we're not buying furniture. Why? Yes,
If you can't buy it twice, don't buy it.
stop it, right? You can't afford it. Because the goal of having this credit card is to allow you the opportunity to grow your credit. But if you buy a $500 sofa, can you pay the $500 next month? You can't afford it, don't get it. You're not in a position to do that. And I say y'all as college students, that's all I'm saying. Because I was a college student too, I didn't have disposable income. What's disposable income?
Income that you can easily spend but not be affected too much. Like you're making more than your means of living, so like it's not going to impact you too badly if you, let's say, drop $1,000 on something you don't
Right,
need.
right. So you don't,
Above and beyond what you need to pay the bills.
right. So you're not in a position to do big ticket items right now, because most likely you don't have the income to support full payment of that item by the next month. Because what credit cards love for you to do is pay the minimum. So we bought a $500 sofa. The interest rate is 10%. They want you to pay $22 a month because you're in the okay bracket. What happens to that $500 sofa at $22 a month?
They'll charge you interest on whatever's left, and then it goes up again, so you're still stuck in the same cycle.
So the $500 sofa potentially cost you $1,000 because you're sending them $22 a month. So avoid the big ticket items. You can't afford it
And
But-
it will take you 3 years
to
to
pay
it
for
off
something, and then
at
by the time you're
$22
done,
a month
the
rather
sofa's
than-
garbage. That's not what we want. But you gotta put your credit cards into circulation. So what does that mean? Get yourself a pedicure, manicure. $50 next month, you pay the $50, and then you're balancing that. Another thing, you guys, you gotta pay it on time. That is what's driving the credit score. You don't dictate when the bill is due. They dictate when the bill is due.
But if you're lucky, you can pick a day or that's convenient to you where it's due. Let's say if it's the
Yeah.
first of the month or the last day of the month.
Right. Right, so make sure if you're gonna open up a credit card, that there's one that's flexible with when it's due. But if you're late, your credit score will go, it will go down. So you gotta pay on time. That's more important than the amount you pay. So let's say next month you're struggling, you did that pedicure, manicure, and you're like, something happened with my car, I gotta put my $50 for that. Still send something to the credit card on time. That has more power than the amount you're gonna send. Ideally, you want to pay it off, but if you can't,
And
on time.
realistically, I spent a good chunk of my life paying like pretty much the minimum. No, because like, I was in grad school
Right.
and then I had a job and now I have a house, I have a car, I have, I managed to get to work. One of these days I'll be able to retire. Right, and so we have to
Yeah.
make choices based on, yeah.
I will comment to it because what you say is right when it comes to paying on time, but what I recently encountered and discovered, if you time it in such a way, you make two, if you're doing a minimum, kind of split the minimum in half. So have one scheduled for 3 days before the due date and the other one for like 15 days, it actually helps boost your credit a little bit. It raises your score. Yes, it's a good bit.
You just have to understand what you're doing.
So at one point, what I did is when I went into my bank account and I set up automatic payments because I was trying to finish my dissertation and I was working full-time and I kept forgetting to send things off, right? And the bills kept getting buried underneath my, like my work stuff. Like I finished grading a pile of exams and I would find the Visa bill underneath.
Okay, we're not doing what Mary Ann has done. That's
And I
not
would find, and when I finished my dissertation, also part of the reason that my nephews and I have a good relationship is that I found Halloween cards, Easter cards, St. Patrick's Day cards, birthday cards I had done, right? And I signed them all and I sent them all like in May of 1996. And Sam, who was like 4 then, was like, why is that Mary Ann sending us Halloween cards in May? And my sister would be like, well, you know, that's silly Aunt Mary Ann, right? But it made a big difference on my credit score that I had missed a bunch of,
Oh, yeah.
I never didn't pay at all. I just kept missing the
Well, they
deadlines.
love you.
Be-
They made a lot of money off of you.
They
Mary Ann.
did. No, they did.
No,
And
they
so
did.
what I wound up doing, I don't do it anymore, but at that point, I wound up making automatic payments of things of a search so that I knew
That is
Right.
done.
that it was done. It wasn't necessarily the whole amount, but something got paid. So, yeah.
All right, please don't co-sign for anyone. And why is that? Correct. Know who you surround yourself with, your boyfriend, girlfriend, siblings. It's not okay to co-sign. You're not in a position to co-sign because if they default in that payment, it affects you. And they're going to run your credit. So that takes me to the next bullet. You guys, when you go to the mall and you're excited because Chance is giving you a free t-shirt to open up their credit card. You apply, you get a free t-shirt, but you were denied the credit card. So now you're in your feelings, you're in the mall. So now you go to another sneaker store and they're like, hey, we're going to give you a hat if you try this. You decide, okay, I'm going to try this. You get approved. So you get a free hat and you got a free t-shirt and now you have a credit card. They approved you for $500. Yay. You're like excited. So you go to Macy's and Macy's is going to approve you because now you have a second credit card. So they love that. The problem with that is that you took 3 hard hits on your credit score, which means
In one day.
in one day, which means 3 different people ran your social security number and that hinders your credit score. Those
Oh my
are
God, I'm
hard
getting
hits.
so depressed.
Yeah. Those are hard hits. So forget the freebies. If it's too good to be true, it's not worth it. Don't let people run your credit without your understanding of what that means to your bottom line.
If it's too good to be true, it's not.
You
And
don't
oh,
need a
by
mess.
the way, Dr. Colon is the specialist in how to get you out of trouble if you get in,
I will make an appointment.
okay? No, she can sort you out.
Yeah,
She
I'll get you on
can
the right track.
get
I'll
you on the right track. That's
And
why
then,
we have her in all the
Yeah,
time.
and then understand that student loans are gonna work in your favor, so when people are like, oh, I don't want a student loan, I need you to understand that it's part of our narrative. Personally, for me, I borrowed as an undergrad, a grad, and for my doctorate.
Yep.
It was the only way I could do it. I get that loans are scary, but it's either that or no access to higher ed. And it does not hurt your credit score. All right, let's move on.
And trying to work 40 hours a week and go to school full time, it really,
Not-
to graduate debt free, it doesn't work.
You gotta hit it again, because there's some language. So FAFSA is the #1 tool allowing our financial aid office to provide you your financial aid. The one for next year is available October 1st. So you guys should be thinking about doing that. We worked on some dates with Millie, but we would never come. This essential school code, to get the maximum financial aid, please have this done before March 1st. That determines whether you just get student loans or whether you get student loans and university free money. Your only job is to do the FAFSA by March 1st because you're already matriculated and accepted. So this is a non-negotiable and no excuse.
You can make an appointment
Mhm.
with Dr. Cologne. We
Mhm.
had her down here
Mhm.
last year, but was that adequate? Because
That was tough. That was
these
tough.
rooms are not
Yeah, that
really,
was tough. I
right?
would recommend more one-on-one, and I can really look you up and determine the best situation for you.
Right, up in her office, which is
In
in
Willard, Loretto.
Willard D. Loretto, but on the Willard side.
Yes. So just so you know, today, if you owe $999, you have a hold on your account, which means you can't register for spring 23. So if this is you today, you need to have a conversation with my office.
Yes.
Understand you cannot register if you owe more than $999. It is not too late to do today's FAFSA, the one that's gonna cover you right now. So even though next year's is available, the one for this year is still available to you, and that's something we can do together. I really recommend FAFSA. You'd be surprised what you qualify for, but we don't know until you apply.
But to get federal work study, you have to.
You have to. do a
So they've
FAFSA.
all done their FAFSA.
Did they do it for next year already?
I haven't finished it.
I did.
Yeah.
I've almost done the
March
internet.
1st,
So-
March 1st.
So Anna Sophia did it for next year, did it for next year.
Doing it for next year.
You, not yet? You don't have to? You? Wait, I don't understand what that means, I don't have
They're graduating.
to. Awesome, okay, we'll have a party. All right, move it along. I'm very proud of that. These are the types of financial aid funds, Pell
Or at
Grant,
least I assume that's what it means.
federal work study, federal student loans, university grants, state grants, scholarships, parent plus loan, private student loans. These are all resources for you as CCSU students. The difference between subsidized and unsubsidized, who knows the difference? Yes, sir.
Subsidized, the government does not charge you interest while you're in school. Unsubsidized, you pay it as it starts.
I love it. He's so like in tune. I love it. Absolutely 100%. Subsidized interest is paid by the government until graduation. Unsubsidized interest accrues as we speak. But disclaimer, the Biden administration has allowed, not you guys because you're still in school, but someone like me to have a halt on paying back student loans with no interest because of COVID.
Yeah, it was a 6 month grace period afterwards.
Yeah, but they've allowed that to be extended, and then this January, we're all going into repayment. When I say we, people that have graduated already.
Right.
You guys are in deferment because you're students. So then let's talk a little bit about the Biden-Harris loan forgiveness, right? 'Cause it's gonna-
I need to know
I
more
got
about
you,
that.
I got you. Let's talk about what that means. So everybody's excited, as they should be. Anyone that borrowed prior to this September, you have the potential for $10,000 to get forgiven from your student loan debt. Yep. Anything past this year, you're still responsible for. Yes.
So on the application is on the FAFSA website,
Right.
but I had applied for it, but then I went back to finish my FAFSA, and it says there's like something going on in Congress, I believe, but they're
Correct.
holding
The
it.
Republicans have blocked it.
Yeah.
So,
Which means you guys have to vote.
right, you have to
I'm
vote,
voting, yeah,
right.
You have to vote.
Vote. It's bigger than
November
us.
8th.
It's bigger than us. The political climate is very tough right now. You guys are aware of what's going on. They see this as a democratic approach to get more voters. So anyone that doesn't support the Democratic Party is against the student loan forgiveness. They don't realize the bigger picture. But is my and this is Miguel Cardona. This is his baby. So
Right,
he's
we
really-
all know who Miguel Cardona
yeah,
is.
he's
yes.
really pushing hard to make this happen. In addition to the initial $10,000, if you were Pell eligible as an undergrad, you get an additional 10,000. So $20,000 will come off your debt automatically. The applications
If
have
that
not
had
been
been
put forward.
eligible from my grad school, I would have, yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
repeat that again?
wonderful.
I haven't actually done the application.
There's no application. What are you talking about?
There's a
You
link
just,
you
like,
go to
sign
on
up
the
on the
website to do it.
Not yet, though, not yet. They haven't put the applications out because they were blocked.
No, I did it before
No,
that.
Something came out,
Yeah.
and it's a
There's
different
An
one.
early access application a
data.
couple weeks back, I did that one, and then they also said that if you already have FAFSA,
You
you're
can do it.
automatically enrolled
Yeah.
in it as well.
Yeah.
Earlier in the month before I did the Fast Five
think
went on
they
and it
tweaked
was
it.
available.
Oh,
At least put my
okay.
information
It
in.
was-
So they're, Gladys, so they're offering the forgiveness to people who are still in school?
Yes.
Wow.
But
So we all
anything new this year, you're on your own.
That's fine.
After this year,
No, as of this year.
Yes, no debt absorbance. Before that, any debt you got into, they'll take care of. So then there's a third type of loan forgiveness, but this is typically for people who have graduated and work in nonprofit. There's an additional, so for example, for me, I work in government, so they're gonna allow me they're gonna absorb the rest of my debt, but I have to make 10 years of consecutive payments.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that one we did, yeah. So it's a good opportunity right now.
Alright, I'm done with that from what they're already at. I know they're already paying it.
The same one. That one's the same one. They just opened it up. Nope, you went too far. 2 more entities. So now we're included as state employees before we were not. Yeah, federal or civil servants, police officers, nurses, yeah, that. So I want to just share with you, I take it for granted, and I think you might too, that you may not know how much it costs to come here. You just know the bill is paid, you get financial aid, but this is the cost for this year, guys. Full-time in-state for 1 semester is $6,053. Times 2, 12,002 for 1 year to commute. If you opt to be part-time, you still get financial aid, and that's a myth that students don't understand. You can get financial aid as a part-time student as well. And then housing, depending on your dorm, is about $62.32 a semester. Unless you, including the meals, unless you're in mid-campus, James, or Vance. Those,
They're high or low?
they're higher because you have the potential to be in a single. So those 3 are the highest dorms on campus.
Also cheap stuff, fans.
Vance is affordable. Vance is hot. I was there to do a workshop. I died in the basement. Oh, bueno. So are you guys on campus?
Absolutely not.
No,
No, commuter, you're on campus? You're on campus?
I did on
I
campus.
just had a
so-
question. I know they're raising the tuition. Is that for the spring or the fall?
Next academic
Yeah,
year.
2023.
3-4, yeah. This is locked in for this year.
I think it's going up to what, 13 something?
Yeah, July 1st, the BOR makes a decision about how much it's gonna cost. So beware, this is just this year. All right.
I was looking at maybe we could, if you're living on campus, you can live off campus, like a rented house.
You can't say that. Not everybody fits that, honey.
It was more affordable.
In your
Depends
opinion.
on gap.
Right, it
Depends
depends
on
on you. And,
Financial status.
yeah,
No,
and
but
your
also,
maturity,
the price of oil
It's
this
going
winter is going through the roof.
right, and then understanding what that means. What if you don't have the best roommate? What if your roommate is a crazy person that wants to party?
The other thing is the neighbors,
Strictly financially,
Financially, it makes sense to be on campus, absolutely.
as long as you have heat included in the rent. If you don't have if you don't have utilities have been very cheap. Okay, oil prices, in other words, heat and hot water are up more than gas prices.
well, if you think about it, because then if you're living on campus, you're already taking those loans out to live on campus, but you can do the same thing and do that for off campus, which is cheaper.
That
But I'm
depends
just,
on-
but I'm saying, Andrew,
No, I
if you
know,
have to
just-
pay for utilities.
I know.
Utilities, so my oil bill a year ago was half of what it was in
Wow.
2014. So in 2014, oil prices when I bought my house were $4.25 a gallon. Then they went down to $1.87 during the pandemic. They're up, I'm hearing, around $6 a gallon now,
Mhm.
Ouch.
okay?
And that's a bill that you need to pay on time. Well, in that case, you don't get oil, you don't get heat.
You don't get heat,
Right.
you freeze to
But
death.
if you're like
So-
you're like a gas bill, a light bill, a cable bill, your cell phone bill,
The internet bill.
those all
What
hit.
What I'm just saying is living off campus is about to become a lot more expensive than it has been because of the price of heat.
I'd go to that.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's okay, honey.
See,
That's
I
okay.
like-
It worked
I
for
like-
you.
I know, but
Right.
I'm saying like, and that's strictly financially, if you're living already on campus, you're already taking out the fund.
So the interest rate today is 4.99 on your Stafford loans. That'll change every July 1st. During the pandemic, it was 2.7. When I graduated, it was 8%.
Oh yeah, when I came in and I did it, it was looking at,
Very low.
it was more like 2.73 or was it 2.9?
Yeah, it was really good. So we're at 4.99 and this Congress decides this, not us. So just quickly, we have a bill due date of July 15th and December 15th. That never changes, guys. So you can't say I didn't know my bill was due. The bursars is not buying that. It's publicized everywhere. It never changes. Your fall bill is due July 15th.
They'll send you email
Right.
to your student email like November 10.
But
Don't forget, spring
Bill,
bill is due December 15.
correct.
Winter bill is due upon registration.
Yeah, we're not promoting winter session, okay?
No.
There's no financial aid for winter session. And it's a 3-week component of a 15-week
hell.
class. Let's
It's
not
hell.
do that. Let's
Hell.
not do that, guys. Come on.
But the other thing is, registration is coming up, right? The first couple weeks of, middle 2 weeks of November.
Well, some have registered already. Our upperclassmen have registered already. So our freshmen will register in the fall, in next month.
In the
Next
next
month.
couple of weeks. But
Correct.
some students think that they're going to get a bill as soon as they register. That's not the case. You don't get a bill until December 5th, until December, regardless of what you register now. And we need to register now because you need to make sure you have space in classes.
Right, because if you miss out, then you don't get in the class that you really need to graduate. So that's a tough lesson, but the bills are due, those 2 dates, you want to get on a payment plan if you're struggling to make the bill. And there is a $50 late fee if you don't pay your bill on time. If you set up a payment plan, then you don't have to worry about a late fee. They will not charge you, but you gotta promise to pay. On a payment plan, it's 4 installments. December, January, February, March, with a $35 installment plan fee. Yes,
I heard from somewhere that if you just need like 1 or 2 more classes in order to graduate, if you just sign up for those 2 classes, financial aid or bursar's office can still file you as full-time.
negative.
With
You're
you-
part-time, if you're part-time, you're part-time. You need to be at least at 6 to qualify for financial aid. What you do if you're going from full-time to part-time is let the registrar's office know that you're dropping down to 6 credits and your bill will be modified accordingly. We will not see you as a full-time student if you're not. Unless you do, all right, I don't want to get complicated, but you could do a consortium, which means you take a class somewhere else. Or if you're 12 credits here, we have a reciprocity commitment where you could take a class at another state.
But 12 credits is full
12
time.
credits is,
Anything less than that is part-time.
yeah. All right, we can move on to, yep. Go for it, yeah. Understanding SAP, this is so important because you guys as students fall into trouble when you don't understand what this means. All students must be matriculated to get financial aid. Fancy word to say degree seeking. We don't want you to be career students, so you must find a major. You need to fulfill 67.5% of your coursework in 1 semester. Perfect example, you're taking 12 credits. You withdrew from 1 because it was really harder than you thought. And you failed 1 because it just got bigger than you. What percentage are you in?
50-ish.
Did you meet the policy? That's how easy you guys can get into trouble. So you didn't meet the policy, which means you'll be put on probation. We'll give you one more semester to get out of that situation before we take away your financial aid for the future. So what's the way to get around this 67% rule? How do you guys, how would you manage that to always be above a 67?
6 classes.
Yes, I love it. Take 15 credits or more. Give yourself a cushion in case you withdraw or have to or fail a class.
And also, number 1, 912, managing your time and all about the Learning Center.
So it's important that you guys take more, listen, it's the same price at 12 that it is at 18. Were you aware of that?
Yep.
It's the same price, so why not benefit from taking more classes? But you have to understand your time management and your ability to take on 15 credits. It's not for everyone. The other benefit is you get to graduate in 4 years. You're not going to graduate in 4 years if you just take 12 credits. It's impossible. The math doesn't work out.
Unless you do summer courses.
And we're not doing that because come on, you could pay the same price at 12 to 15 to 18 credits. Why don't you just benefit from that? Summer, you're on your own. Winter, you're on your own financially. We also need you to be at a 2.0, which is really minimal. That's like a C. However, understand
C-.
that the school that you apply to, which is education, engineering, nursing, may have a different policy. So although you're getting a GPA overall of 2.0, your school might reject you for not having the right GPA.
So if you want to be a teacher, elementary school, you have to have at least a 2.7.
Okay? So you
To
would
be a high school teacher, you have to have a 2.7 in your overall, but you have to have a 3.0 in the major. Right?
All right, Mama, you can go.
So you have to have 4.0, but you gotta have a 3.
We offer winter session and summer session, but again, it's an expense on you. The winter is ridiculous. It's 3 weeks of material and from a 15-week, that's not for everyone, but people do it, which is fine, but no financial aid. And summer session is a little different because we have 5, 6, and 8-week courses, and summer aid is available if you haven't utilized your eligibility during the year. So that's a conversation one-on-one. Yeah. This is another fact that I want you guys to be aware of. If you pass a class, your math class, with a D or better, you pass the class. But now you're an engineer major and your engineering department is saying, yeah, a D is not gonna cut it. I need you to get a B or better. Financial aid is not gonna pay for that second class that you already passed with a D. So understand that if you sign up for 12 credits and one of them is that repeated D class, financial aid will see you at 9 credits because we can't give you credit for the D again. All right, avoid withdrawing from classes if you can help it. Getting an F is worse than withdrawing because the F impacts GPA. So how do we avoid falling under, how do we get financial aid to see us so they pay for that math class again? How do you fit that D class into your semester?
12 and then have that one as the 15 credit.
There you go, period. Pick up another class and you slide that math class in. Financial aid does not mind because it's the same price from 12 to 18. So that's the cushion that you need again. Having the cushion is what's going to save a lot of our students. Yeah. All right, so we know 999 is a magical number, so let's make sure you owe less than that. All right, you can go on. Yeah. And this is me. My office provides you FAFSA completion, understanding your student loan, understanding your CCSU bill, the cost. I have resources, scholarships that I can help you with. And then I want to have a conversation with you before you graduate. So I'm very fortunate where I see you during the onboarding process, and then I see you upon graduation to make sure you understand what it means with your loans as you move forward into your adult life. All right. And then I need to promote this FAFSA workshop. I sent this to you, Mary Ann. So if you haven't completed your FAFSA for 23, 24.
I haven't. I didn't do it for last year either.
We want to make sure that you understand we're providing a financial aid workshop. Financial aid professionals and myself will be in the house in advance to provide you one-on-one FAFSA completion. It'll take us literally 30 minutes, if that. As long as you bring your FSA user ID and password and your 2021 tax returns.
And your parents' username and
Yep,
password?
yep. And we've concluded the workshop. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Can you pick me up off the floor because I'm so depressed and anxious now that I may like not be able to move?
We feel, did I overwhelm anyone? It's nothing that you haven't really understood. So what I do in my workshops is, what is the takeaway? What personally for you is your takeaway? What would you do different? What are you or what would you continue to do? So based on this workshop, what are you gonna do differently? What are you gonna do differently?
It's my credit better.
And how do you do that?
Get the report so I can see exactly what's hinted it so badly.
Yep, yep. What are you gonna change?
As well as the report, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and it's free. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing differently?
Pay off my credit cards. I only have one credit card, but
Good for you. Are
Um,
you sending a minimum if you don't mind
I
me
pay
asking?
over the minimum.
Right,
Sometimes
so how
double,
about we pay the
sometimes
whole
triple.
thing?
So
And how about we not use it? like that?
Well, I had to use it for emergency.
And that's exactly what it's for,
So that's.
but let's not get stuck, yeah. But that's, life happens, let's be realistic. Sometimes you need a new tire or
Mhm.
somebody, whatever. That is okay, but you can't get in the rut. I'll send them 10. And don't do what Mary Ann did, she forgot them under her holiday card. Don't do that.
No, yeah,
Don't do that.
I did, really.
usually-
I believe, we believe you,
We believe you. What about
right?
it?
Yeah, period.
Well, I didn't forget them under the holiday cards.
Okay,
They were on
but-
top of the holiday
Yeah,
cards.
so
but the
on
holiday
time,
cards were
On
definitely-
time. What are you doing differently?
Not leaving on campus next year because that brought my bill up. Because if not, I would have not paid it.
If commuting is an option, I would entertain it. Sweetie, what did you learn?
I'm probably gonna check my credit score, it's been a while since I've taken a look at that.
So you know about it, you just wanna see what it is currently. Yep, and you?
I like the comparison you made between physical with, fitness and physical literacy, so I
Right.
want to start budgeting.
Yeah, and my office provides
Yeah.
budgeting information too. What are you doing differently? Cause you sound like you're on point.
It's
What do you take from the workshop?
a workshop, honestly, it's not stuff that I haven't heard
Right.
before. But it's like, I guess I use my credit card less. I do usually end up paying it off because the return I get from financial aid is like really big. So I usually end up paying it off in one go, but I've heard it's not the best to pay off some of your stuff like immediately, like letting that sit a bit is better.
Which is the recommendation he made to send some at the beginning and then some at, cause that way your credit score is like. okay.
15 and 3 are your magical numbers. 3 days before, 15 before, send a half of your, if you're doing minimum, send a half. If it's the full balance, send a half.
Pauline teaches us.
I
things
love
every-
it. He
every
is
month.
on point.
Right.
The only other thing I
So
would
she
share with
asked me
you
what I
is,
wanted.
if you guys currently here are getting refunds from financial aid, that's probably your student loans. So don't get excited. Don't get excited. If you don't need that refund to live off of, you probably want to reduce your student loan debt.
I usually get refunds from additional scholarship I get.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Do you have
It's-
loans?
Yeah, but it's from,
Say no more. Say no
no,
more.
it's from the Roberta
Right.
something,
You
something.
can,
That's
but
correct.
we can reduce your loan so you don't get no refund. Why do you want a refund if it's debt?
No, it's like, it's not a refund from my loan though. It would say it on the
Mama,
activity report, right?
Mama, trust me, you don't need the debt.
So
Anytime
she
you're
could
getting
use-
a
you could
refund,
use the
it's
refund
debt.
to pay off the
It's not
debt.
free.
Oh, well, no. 'Cause
No.
no, a lot of time I need it. That's why I'm like.
Okay, and that's okay, and
No.
that's your decision. But if you're getting a refund and it's sitting on your bank account, You're accruing interest. Let's give that back to the government.
But, Gladys, you also suggested that, you could transfer debt into work study, or,
We can reduce the debt to create eligibility, allowing the work study to be an option. Absolutely.
Oh.
If you're getting refunds, guys, and you have loans, the refunds are the loans. Are you kidding me? So if you don't need the refund to live off of, you need to come see me so we can reduce your spring portion of your debt. It's debt. And you getting the refund to pay off your credit card, not okay. Not okay. Because you're taking from Peter to pay Paul.
I don't want her to have seen my situation when I finished graduate school. No, really.
Let's have a real conversation. If you feel that some of this stuff is overwhelming you, confusing you, getting you sad, reach out to my office. I will sit with you one-on-one to get a big picture of what your situation is. I give you all scenarios. Ultimately, it's your decision. It's not mine, but I'm trying to make you fiscal fit. So when you graduate, your financial wellness is not overwhelming. Because what happens is if you have a lot of debt here, when you graduate, you're gonna be forced to live with your parents. You can't afford an apartment. You're gonna not be able to get a nice car because you don't have the resources.
On the other hand, and I know that Gladys understands this, you need to think about all of this in terms of what you need to do to maintain a positive GPA. Because we've talked about what you need for a minimum GPA to be eligible, to get into programs, right? We haven't talked about what GPA you might need to get a job. Because even though you think that employers don't care, they actually do. Professional
My friends,
employers.
you will not understand your potential employer will check your credit. If you're
They've done it.
right, they don't
I was
want
listening to the
someone
first
that's
one.
very
Well,
right. And if you're going into banking or that, you have to have your money management under control. And if they run your credit and you're at a 600, they're not gonna hire you.
right.
So it's all intentional.
And travelers, Kate Wall told me, will not hire anybody with less than a 3.0 GPA. Period.
So that's
Yes, period. Period.
all right. So that concludes the workshop. Thank you so much. You
So,
guys
now
were
that we've
awesome.
like, oh, you did that in unison so beautifully, the two of you.
This is so nice. I love this.
You got it down at Goldman?
Who thought of this?
2.8.
That's Goldman, that's different.
That's better than Collins.
I'm just telling you, travelers
I love
policy.
it.
No, I know, I'm just saying.
And where was the 2.8 from?
Absolutely. Mama, can you bring the slide with my info? So in case you guys wanna find me, it's the first one. Take a picture of it.
So I have a student who wants to work for
That's me.
travelers and his GPA is 2.76 and it's a no-go.
Probably work at.
And the person who runs our Travelers Edge program, who places a lot of people every year with travelers, it's a special travelers scholarship for
Thank you.
Hartford minority students. The cutoff for internships, employment, the whole business